How are you doing? No, really. How are you doing? Are you hurt or are you injured? This is a question that has echoed through the hallways of sports history for decades. I was 7 years old the first time I heard this question. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was playing one of my most memorable games. The air was just right. The wind wasn't blowing too hard. Stands were packed. It was my time to shine. It was my time to be a hero. I remember the quarterback's cadence as I stood in the backfield. Down, set, hike. I remember taking off with all of the speed in the world. I grabbed the ball, found the three gap, ran through it, and one thing about me, I didn't avoid hits. I lowered my shoulder as hard as I could. I ran into that linebacker to give him the crushing blow. Boom! I found myself laid out on the ground. I could hear my mother in the background. Get my baby off that field. The coaches rushed over. Reed. Are you hurt or are you injured? I mean, I took hits like this before. I mean, to be honest with you, I played through an entire season completely concussed. Fractures, injuries. They say play through the blood, sweat, and tears. So I had to keep going. I had to keep playing. And I, like most athletes, thought that I couldn't stop. You know, according to the National Institute of Health, 91% of collegiate athletes experience injuries. 54% of collegiate athletes continue playing even while injured. So I had to be a part of that 54. You know, one of my favorite players was Ricky Williams, and he talked about making it through and continuing to play. You see, what I learned quite too fast was that when you come off the field, the cheers began to become silent. But when you return back on that field, injured, hurting, bloody, it's almost as if they reward you. You're a hero. You're a warrior. And so I had to continue playing on. I had to keep fighting because one day somebody might look up to me as their hero. But to be honest with you, I had no choice but to keep playing because I didn't even know what a hero was anymore. See, what I didn't share with you was that I lost 3 of the most important heroes in my life at an early age within a matter of 5 years. When I was 5 years old, I lost my grandmother. And at the age of 7, I lost my father. At the age of 9, I lost my grandfather. See, I loved football. I loved sports. They did something for me. But this pain that I felt, there was no way of really fully processing it. So how could I know? Are you hurt or are you injured? I never even had enough time to grieve. And I, like most players, we let it all out on the field. Sometimes we suffer from pain so deep we don't know that. Scientists have recently found out that the area of your brain, the frontal region of your brain, is responsible for physical pain. But the exact same location is responsible for emotional pain. So here we are trying to treat a physical injury when what we're really dealing with is a broken heart. My name is Ryan Reed, and I'm a broken hero. See, I struggle with a lot of different mental health issues accordingly, just like most athletes. You know, According to the National Institute of Health, 35% of collegiate athletes struggle with depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and the list goes on. But what's even more alarming is that only 10% actually go get help. Why would you go get help? The expectations of being an athlete are so huge and so big. I got to keep going. I got to keep playing. See, we struggle with what I call a dichotomy. How do I work on myself while at the same time trying to become who you've made me out to be? That's when I realized I was broken. And broken's not a bad thing. There's a lot of people that will say something like, they knew what they signed up for. You knew what you were getting yourself into. Oh, really? I want you to think about something. I want you to think about something that you love doing more than anything in the world. And imagine never being able to do it again. I asked this question in a room full of students one day, and so many answers came out. Reading books, riding my bike, exercising, going to those college parties, going home for Thanksgiving. My mouth almost starts to water thinking about that food. Spending time with my family on the holidays, going out on dates with my partner. You know, for a collegiate athlete, every time they step onto the diving board, every time they step onto the basketball court, every time they go onto that football field, every time they get into a canoe, every time they stand up and perform for you, they risk never being able to do those things ever again. So no, they don't know what they signed up for. They don't. I wear many hats. One of my favorite hats is that of being a barber. Now, one thing that I know is that collegiate athletes might not step into a counseling facility. They might not even go get rehab services, but they'll get their hair cut. One day, there was a small friend walking into the barbershop. And I knew they had to be someone of importance because questions just began to fire off. How many points did you score last game? What do you think of that next team that you guys are facing? Why do you think you keep losing? What do you think of that new recruit coming in next year? How many looks have you gotten? Not once did I hear, how are you doing? So I knew it was my turn. I was going to be able to cut whoever this superheroes, I was going to be able to cut their hair. Sits down. Seemed kind of tight. So I asked, how you doing? I'm cool. I'm fine. No. Really? How you doing? I don't know. I just tore my ACL. And I found out I'll probably be out for the rest of the season. I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, that's all I know. My life is basketball. I started hooping when I was a little kid. Like, ever since I was a kid, I dreamed of hooping professionally. I don't know what to do now. You got anybody you can talk to? I mean, you know, I got my partner and I got my mom and I got my coach, and they check on me a lot. I guess what I'm wondering is, what do you do when they stop checking on you? What do you do when you go back home and you feel like you have to take that cape off? See, the interesting thing that I've learned about heroes is that for every single hero, by someone they are looked at as a villain. And what's even more alarming is, and maybe you haven't noticed it, but most times they have to hide their superpowers. We live in a world that will celebrate you for your superpowers, yet we want you and we force you to hide them. See, being a broken hero, I learned that my greatest superpower was being vulnerable. Being vulnerable is scary. Are you hurt? Or are you injured? At 7 years old, we learned that as early as childhood, adolescence, how you answer that question can impact your life for the rest of your life. It can shape how you view yourself or how others view you for the rest of your life. I'm fine. That's what I told my coach. I'm fine. That's what she said when she sat in the barber chair. But see, I'm fine can mean an array of things. I'm fine can mean I'm fine. I'm doing pretty well. But I'm fine can mean, are you even going to sit down long enough to listen? Do you even care? I mean, everybody's in a rush. I got too much going on. I got things to do. She finally had a chance to let somebody in on how she's really doing. You know, I didn't realize it, that I had become a part of the problem when I allowed those words to dribble out of my mouth. It was the first half of one of our most important games. One of my most talented athletes. Talking about my most talented athlete. I could depend on him for any and everything. He showed up. The only thing I couldn't depend on him to do was tell me how he was really doing. Quarterback calls hike. He sprints down that sideline. The quarterback tosses him the ball. He catches it. Boom! No, not him. Not him. Get up, man. Get up, man. Hey, look at me. Look at me. Are you hurt? Are you injured? I looked at what I was. He looked at me and what he may become one day. I picked him up off that field. I carried him to the sideline. Coach, I can go back in. Coach, how bad is it? This young man shed tears like the Niagara Falls. But see, I knew he wasn't crying just because of that pain in his leg. See, the pain he was enduring started years ago. Like myself, he lost his father 2 years ago. Never even really had a man to ask him, how you doing, son? How do you feel? I'm proud of you. He wanted to go back out onto that field and play for me. But I needed him to heal for him. It's time for a paradigm shift. It's time that we stop treating our heroes as if they are perfect. See, even Superman had Clark Kent. And most times we think the battle is with the enemy, this guy on the outside. It's not with the enemy. It's with the enemy. How do I even learn and discover who I am if I never even saw it? How do I get permission to go and heal if I never even heard it? Because we hear as early as childhood, adolescence, big boys don't cry, big girls don't cry, suck it up. And sometimes we suck it so far up, we begin to break down inside. It's time for us to heal together. There's this beautiful old art, Japanese art, created in the mid-1500s called kintsugi. What they do is they take broken pottery and they mend it back together with silver and gold resin. But the beautiful thing about it is that even though you can now drink out of this once broken cup, you can still make out the cracks. They believe that there's power in being broken, that we should celebrate our brokenness. What I'm learning is that I was broken on purpose. I used to look at it as a punishment. God, why me? Why not you? I built you for this. I created you for this. That one day when there's a young man that loses his father, you'll know firsthand what it feels like. When there's an athlete struggling to navigate this complexity of discovering who they are as well as the professional world, that you'll be able to stand right there. I realized that I was born to be a succeeding person who grabs a hold of success through tenacity and refuse to lie down and die. This world needs you now more than you could ever imagine. It's time for us to heal together. It's time that we learn to celebrate our brokenness and treat our athletes as if brokenness is great. But I need your help. So when you go home, promise me something. That when you run into a stranger, when you talk to a friend, ask them, how you doing? And when they give you that answer that most heroes give, I'm fine, ask another question. No, really. How are you doing? And you'll be surprised by the answer that you might get. Just stick around long enough to hear. My name is Ryan Reed, and I am a broken hero. Thank you.